moved off a little. There's the one called earlier, second one. And the third one. There she is! Okay.
Hello everybody, this is Curtis with Campfire Tales Cryptids of America, and I hope you enjoyed that little soundbite which was provided along with the photos that tagged in here from our good friend David Parker. And before we get started, I want to remind you to please don't forget to check out our merchandise section. And if you have a story, it doesn't have to be about Bigfoot. It can be, you know, skinwalkers, aliens, what's those other things, Wendigos, Mothman, whatever, ghost, paranormal, unsolved mysteries, that sort of thing. You'll find our email address located in the links below, the description below. It's Campfire Tales of America at gmail.com. And if you wish to remain completely anonymous, that's fine. I like telling your stories. I like for you to tell your stories. I found I'm a much better interviewer than I am a reader. I knew that. So don't be bashful. Give us a shout. Alright? Now, we're going to pick up with David talking about the mid-tarsal break, and like I say, I'll be tossing some pictures in this interview, so just sit back and enjoy. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Alright, you have a good night. But
well, when they're on all fours, see, they don't like knuckle walk like a gorilla does. They don't.
right.
What they do is if you curl your fingers up and you tuck your thumb in and you kind of got your palm down, they go like that. And then that way, you ever see like pictures of where here there's heavy leaf litter on the forest floor, but you find a track and it's just bare. That doesn't make sense, does it?
Right.
But if they're on all fours and the hand scraped along there before the foot went down, it does make sense. Because the hand will clear like any crunchy stuff out of the way. And then they step on top of the handprint. That's where your mid-tarsal break comes from. It's from them walking on all fours. Because like I said, if you curl your fingers up and you tuck your thumb in, and then put weight on your hand.
Yeah.
Where's it all focused? Right on the heel of your hand, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now, if you take your hand curled up like that and put it right on the bottom of your opposite foot, that heel of the hand seems to line right up with that mid-tarsal break. So I don't believe that there is one. And because when they're on all fours, there's more weight towards the front, so they're kind of top heavy, so to speak.
Yeah.
So that heel of the hand is going to make a deeper impression. And then when the foot steps on top of it so they don't make extra tracks, the bigger, wider foot does not leave as deep of an impression. And then when they step, then it gives the appearance of a mid-tarsal break that isn't there. It's just simply them walking on all fours.
Okay.
If that makes sense to you.
Well, it does, and it's interesting because somebody I talked to earlier was talking about the mid-tarsal break and how the foot would bend like if you're walking in snow and your foot bends and your toes will kick back a little bit of snow
Right,
so that it actually kind of bunches up
right.
about in the arch of your foot. Um, so yeah, I find that interesting.
So I don't believe in that mid-tarsal break theory. I think
Yeah.
it's, the one who come up with that is not a field researcher, doesn't have the observations. And you're not looking at fresh tracks. And, sometimes it's pretty hard to pick it out if it's a composite track like that. But it would also explain extra toes and what looks like deformities and whatnot. Is
Yeah.
if you get get it in your head that they do walk on all fours like that. And what if the foot didn't line up quite right on top of the handprint? Well, it might look like there's a distortion in the foot.
It could look like bear tracks.
Oh yeah, definitely. And the one thing that you find is like the females, they average 8 feet tall, and their tracks will be 16 inches long, and they'll have a more narrow heel.
Yeah.
Since they're not as large and robust, they don't need quite such a wide foot to
Right.
support their weight. And the adult males leave a 24-inch track, and they're 12 feet tall. So, really, from tracks, I came up with this formula from where I had visuals with a point of reference and a track to measure. That if you take the footprint, the number of inches, and you divide it by 2, that will give you the feet in height. Now I know there's this primate formula that people want to go by. That's inaccurate. And you got to consider most of your primates basically have 4 hands. They don't have a foot structure like that.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So that's why the the textbook version of the formula for primate height to track ratio isn't applicable to Bigfoot. But I found it to be, highly accurate on all the ones where we found different tracks and had sightings and whatnot. That 2 inches of track equal 1 foot of height. And now, like this one we call Little Andy, he seems to grow like 6 inches a year,
Hmm.
and his footprints get an inch bigger a year.
Okay.
Because
So
from the
I
point,
wonder, excuse me, have you submitted any of this research to Dr. Meldrum?
no, no, I tried
Okay.
talking to him, but he's kind of arrogant. So
Okay.
didn't seem like he had the time of day for me, so I figured, heck with him.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, what other sightings have you had there around your house?
Oh, I would even have him come in the house.
Oh, really?
Oh, and we catch him peeking in the windows every once in a while, and like when, like my son Ralph, I call him my son because I've pretty much adopted him. But I wasn't the one who sired him, so to speak. But we're pretty much father and son in every other aspect.
Okay.
But when I brought him here, his first night here, he had a pretty good. He got two visuals. He got to see two different ones the first night because he came here from California on a bus, and and he took his shoes off, and it's like, ugh, you go put them outside. And I told him, so now you get in there and go take a bath and get yourself cleaned up and feeling like a human being again and smelling like one too. And anyway, he was going to check his email and he was sitting at my computer. And the next room over is the kitchen that leads out to the deck. Well, he kind of got that feeling like he was being watched. And he looks off to his
Uh-huh.
left, and there was the one we call Little Andy looking. He was right up to the deck, peeking over the railing, looking through the glass of the kitchen door at Ralph. Because he's wondering,
Wow.
well, who dat? And then later, Ralph gets up in the night. I think he had to use the restroom or something. And I've got this 96 Dodge four-wheel drive, and it's got a topper on the back that is taller than the cab. And there was a big male behind it, and he was too big to hide behind this truck. Full-size truck.
Wow.
And the topper is probably 7 feet tall. And he could look over it no problem on all fours. And then Ralph said, he goes, I remember what you said. You said, if you see him, show him open palms that you don't mean him any harm. And he goes, so I showed him open palms. And then he kind of walked out from behind the truck and he goes, man, he's big. He goes, I've seen some big guys, like those bodybuilders at the beach. He goes, but they ain't nothing compared to him. He
Wow.
goes, his forearm was bigger around than my leg.
Mm. Mm-mm-mm.
And he said, and he just
No,
strolled by, but Ralph's shoes stunk really bad, and I think that's what drew him in.
I don't need to see anything like that. Not anything that big. Mm-mm. The one that I saw was big enough, but I don't need to see no uh, Titan.
Now, where you're at, are they the reddish brown ones in that area, or are they black too?
Well, the one that I saw, it was at night, probably 11:30, and it was dark. The creature was dark. The only exception would be that on his chest he had a white V, and I don't, I thought maybe it was from the headlight shine, reflecting off of the oils on his hair or something,
Yeah. Now,
Uh,
do you think it was possibly white hair or a bald spot or something?
I honestly couldn't tell you because, you know, I just know it was there, and I was just, I was just in awe, just trying to take in what is this thing. But then some friends of mine, probably a month or so later, they came up and uh, wanted me to go with them to get my dad's rifle and go back out to that area because they had seen it. And I hadn't said anything to anybody about what I saw out there.
Now, were they
So,
describing the same V on him like you did?
yes, yes, the
So
exact
it's
creature.
probably the same individual.
Yeah. Now, the girl that was with my friend, she had seen it another time, and she said it looked like it had taken clothes from somebody's clothesline and had tried to, I don't know, impersonate a person, trying to hang clothes off of itself somewhere.
Well, probably a kid. You know,
If this thing was a kid, I'd hate to see his daddy. Woo!
well, like I said, the adult males here run 12-foot tall average,
Yeah, wow.
and like the one we call Little Andy, I estimate him to be 13 years old, and he's 10 feet tall.
Mm, man.
That's still a kid, ain't it?
At 13, yeah, yeah. But
And
not 8 foot tall. Or
well,
10.
yeah, he's 10 feet tall, and he
Wow,
grows like 6 inches a year. So I'm figuring when he hits 17, he should be 12 feet tall.
wow. Mm.
And the thing is, I know this is very difficult, but you got to judge them not by their size, but on their actions.
Well, true. Yeah.
Because a lot of times, you catch them looking in the window, they're just curious. Think of the curiosity of a child, or how curious a little ferret is, or something. They're just checking out to see what's going on. They don't mean any harm.
And, I interviewed a guy a couple of weeks ago um, that, yeah, he brought up that usually if there's a woman in the house, um, if there's a Sasquatch peeking around, they're looking in the windows and stuff, and it's going to be a male.
Well,
And it's
sure.
usually during, you know, that time of the month type thing. And, I mean, they have great um, olfactory, and they can smell things. And I'm not trying to be crude or anything like that. It's just that's how it is. That's nature.
Well,
So,
I mean, we've caught them like, well, here's a good example. I've got this blanket on my bed that's kind of fuzzy, and it's almost like 2 layers thick worth of blanket, so you can't really machine wash it.
hmm
So I'd wash this thing in the tub because a lot of dirt and stuff from the dog because he likes to sleep with me.
right.
And so I got this thing clean and stood on it to get as much water out of it as I could, but I still had Ralph help me because the thing was like 100 pounds.
Mm,
And we
yeah.
carried it outside and hung it over the rail of the deck so the rest of the water could drain out and the wind will get it nice and fresh smelling so it didn't
Right.
smell like
Yeah.
my dog. And one night, Ralph stepped out, it was there, and he stepped out onto the deck, and there had been a 10-footer right on the other side of that. I think he was peeking in, and he did a jump from the edge of the deck, and he cleared the fence and landed in the middle of the driveway. So he probably did from a dead, like a broad jump, 25 feet and cleared a 5-foot high fence.
Wow.
And then it was about 5 steps and he was gone into the darkness. Now I come out right away, and what you could smell in the air was really strong, like the burn barrel.
hmm
Like he'd been poking around digging in there looking for food or something. Because, well, this had been after deer season. Because I remember that there were some deer leg bones and stuff that got burned with the trash.
Okay.
So I suppose he was poking around in there because he smelt that. He smelt
Right.
food.
Yeah.
And then he was kind of peeking in through that window of the kitchen door right on the other side of that blanket. And I was
Just
like,
curious, man.
oh, yeah.
Curiosity.
And then he left. I mean, he didn't threaten, he didn't harm, he didn't do nothing. And now, like with my boy, they like to pick him off with pebbles, little pebbles. Like one time I got my truck kind of in a spot where it was, oh, the tires weren't that good and it was muddy and I was just having a heck of a time. Ralph said, just go up to the house. He goes, I'll do a little digging behind the wheels so you can get a bigger run and we'll just mess with it tomorrow. Well, he's out there and he's digging behind the wheels, so I can get a little better run so we can get up out of this low spot. And a spring, like from an old box spring,
Yeah.
the ones that are that real tight woven.
Uh huh.
He said, one of them comes sailing out of the woods. He goes, and it hit me right in my butt crack, he goes. And he said, I went, ow! And he said he could hear a giggle come from the woods.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, they like to mess with him. Like one night, we had a deer carcass that we were going to get rid of because we butchered it. And we had it in the wheelbarrow, and we were walking to the west side of my property where I'd seen that big one go through, and we kind of dump them off there so that them or their coyotes or whatever will make it go away. But we're walking, and in the pasture to the south, there was a big male standing there, and he was standing like a statue. And I kind of said, "Well, come, brother," and he didn't move. So we walked over, and we go to, and I stood on the road, and Ralph went over, I don't know, about 30 feet and dumped it, and then came back. And we're walking back next to each other, and he gets picked off in the back by a little pebble. And they
Wow.
do that to him a lot. I mean, I've had them throw stuff near me. Never anything actually hit me. But they do it to him. I think because he spooks easier than I
Yeah.
do. And
Well, hey, David, I'm getting the nod that my wife's got stuff for me to do. All right.
well, if you
So,
want to talk more, I've got a lot more good stories.
yeah, well, I plan to stay in touch with you. Okay.
I
And
can't wait to share them. And there's a lot of funny ones, especially with Ralph.
yeah.
They
All
like
right, partner.
them. All right.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and go, but I wanted to be sure to say thank you very much and remind our listeners to check out the merchandise section. And I'm going to try to have your photos and recordings that you sent me. I'm
Okay.
going to try to tag them in the descriptions. Okay.
Well, there those girls are. There I is. You girls come to see me. Shit, there's 3 by the pond and there's 1 on East Ridge. Well, they're so sweet girls. You come and say hi. Well, don't be shy now. Was that it?
Okay, well, that's a disappointment, but I wanted more.
Takes what we gets.
Some barking kind of howl.
It's coming from the north. There ain't no dogs there. That's what it sounds like when the hunters are around. Oh, good spot.